Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the TheP-LotPodcast. John here, joined once again by the main man himself, Michael Angelillo. Michael, happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving. Everyone's 4-day weekend's about to draw to a close. We got a pretty weak slate today of NFL games, in part because the NFL decided to put the good ones on Thursday and Friday, I suppose.
Yeah. Yeah, we have
And
a ugly one.
yeah, and you know, I think our worst fears for the Eagles are being realized right now.
Yeah. You can say that for sure. Let's just get right into it. Eagles fall to the Bears. What was the final end up being? 24-15 was the final score.
Yeah, missed extra point by Jake Elliott. Yeah, exactly. Like the game looks like it was closer than it actually was. I think the score does not
Yeah.
indicate
Yeah.
how.
They got flat out destroyed by the Chicago Bears. They got beaten to a pulp on both
That
sides of the
was the
ball.
Niner game, except against a worst opponent.
Yeah. Yeah, pretty much. That was rough, man. I mean, like, we know Ben Johnson is good at drawing up run schemes, and even though the Bears don't feel like they're super talented, they're a good running team this year. But I mean, they gave up the most rushing yards through 3 quarters than they had given up in an entire game since 2015. Since, like, Chip Kelly defenses, they hadn't given up that many rushing yards. Um, Monungai and DeAndre Swift went for over 100. Caleb Williams had some scampers as well that were huge. And it's so crazy too because you think all those rushing yards, whatever, the Bears still threw the ball 35 times. That's just how many plays they had as an offense. They doubled up the Eagles on first downs, they doubled up the Eagles on time of possession, and they doubled up the Eagles essentially on total plays ran. It was about as dominant as a game as it could have been, and the Eagles had a turnover on downs and an interception. Um, that if those things don't sort of go their way, it could have been a lot worse score wise. I mean, it just it was one of the fastest games as well. The game was over in, like, under 3 hours, which, obviously doesn't happen too much in the NFL, especially a game like a standalone primetime game where you're gonna have a bunch of commercials and stuff. Um, it was just it was disgusting. The Eagles' defense never felt like it could get off the field. They played absolutely horribly against the run. The linebackers were not good. They weren't tackling well. The defensive line was getting bullied all over the field. Um, and like, that was mostly it. Like, yeah, Caleb made some nice throws, some really nice throws, some couple busted coverages on the back end with excuse me, with Sidney Brown. But outside of that, it was really them just getting grounded and pounded and destroyed, and Vic Fangio was in a complete blender, from Ben Johnson. Ben Johnson was cooking his ass up, that is for sure. It was probably, I would say, Vic Fangio's worst game as the Eagles defensive coordinator. Um, he was just genuinely not getting anything right. I mean, they were running five-man fronts, expecting runs, and then they were getting passes and very unfavorable matchups in the secondary. I think, Sidney Brown is not good enough to be one-on-one with anybody in the NFL. I think if you wanna do five-man front with a base defense, Sidney Brown needs to come off the field, and you gotta have DeJean at safety so he can cover a little bit better than, you know, Sidney Brown and just leave Adoree Jackson or whoever on the field. But defensively, very disappointed in their performance. I was expecting a bounce back, and I got none of it from them. They got absolutely dominated. I have really nothing good to say about the defensive side of the ball. You know, Fangio got cooked. It was rough. Luckily for them, they had a turnover and a turnover on down, so that they didn't give up as many points as it felt like. But boy, did they get dominated. But not to bury the lead, the real obvious story comes. with the offensive side of the ball. A.J. Brown was right. So simple as that. Offense can't keep going like this because one day the defense isn't going to bail us out. And now we're on 2 straight weeks of the defense not being able to bail you out, not being able to be perfect, and you have 2 straight losses because of it. They're averaging 15.4 points a game since the bye. That's disgusting. Obviously, you can't just remove all the good games and say, "Well, if you take these away, they're this," whatever. But the second Giants game, they put up 38. The Vikings game, they put up 28. You remove those 2 games, which feel like outliers at this point, they are averaging 20 points per game. That's atrocious for a talent level this high. So, they came out of the bye. They won 2 games, very ugly with the offense playing like literal ass, but the defense was perfect. And the defense has not been perfect the previous 2 weeks. And even though the offense at times showed a little bit of life, it's mostly still been really terrible. And they've received some pretty brutal losses. The division is absolutely in question at this point, and we can't be a serious fan base at this point watching this team acting like the way they're going right now. They have any prayer's chance at repeating as Super Bowl champions. It just is what it is. If the offense is this gross, they have no chance. Absolutely zero.
Well, it's kind of hard to follow up that. Um, Eagles are now 1-5 on a short week, coming off a loss on a Sunday. The only
Oof.
time, or coming off, yeah. So when I say short week, like if they lose the prior week, then they have to play another game.
On short rest.
On
Short week.
short rest, they're 1-5. The only time they've done that was when they lost to the Falcons last year, and then had to play New Orleans.
Mhm. Mhm.
So
Okay.
and you saw how close that game was. By the way, they could have easily lost that Saints game. They looked so like woefully unprepared to play that game too. So it does beg the question, like, you know, how much, like, to me, how much are we, is this just a simple bring in a new offensive coordinator and like that person's just going to fix it? Because I will say this, we have seen in the NFL teams that have bad coordinators struggle. I mean, I think a really good example of that is like the Baltimore Ravens. You look at their defensive issues. We'll talk about their game against the Bengals.
What do you think of the Ravens head coach?
John Harbaugh, I mean, he's been there forever. I think he was a good head coach, won a ton of games. But I feel like when you're a coach and you've coached somewhere for like 20 years, like, unless your name is Bill Belichick or Don Shula or Tom Landry, you need to change the scenery.
My point is that you don't think super highly of
You're
him
not firing
currently.
Sirianni. I know what you're saying. I know what you're going to insinuate at.
If they continue on this
It
path,
won't be it won't be a firing. It would be either one. I said this to somebody yesterday and they laughed, and then once I explained my reasoning for it, then they kind of took me seriously. I said, I would not be shocked if Eagles go 10-7. They make the playoffs because they own all these tiebreakers over teams. That'll probably
yeah,
finish with 10 wins. They'll get smoked in the first round by like whoever, right? Kind of like 2023. And then they meet in the offseason, and Howie and Lurie go to Nick and be like, all right, KP's got to go. Too many guys want him gone. He's not cut out for this job. And he won't take a demotion. So this is kind of how it is. And if Nick says, well, blah, 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 I won a Super Bowl here, ego. Eagles will say, okay, well, all right, Nick, we'll talk about it
they're
later.
gonna they're gonna they're gonna give him the Doug deal again. if it
You call up the
lasts
tennis.
that
You call
long.
up the Howie. You know how Howie is. He loves acquiring assets. He got a third round pick out of the Cardinals for tampering to get them out of tampering. Right?
Right.
Who's to say he doesn't call like the Tennessee Titans and say, "Hey, look, if you want to hire Nick Sirianni to be your head coach, and draft pick compensation, what would you give up?" And if they're like, "Oh, we'll give up like a second round pick,"
Do you think he's getting second?
because the Titans are stupid.
Yeah, but here's the thing.
He's got the second highest winning percentage. See, Michael,
I can't do that one. I can't do it. I'll be honest, I can't do it. We talked about how Doc Rivers is the worst coach to ever win an NBA Finals. We might have the Super Bowl version of that. Um, he's so bad, man. He's really, really bad that he hasn't learned anything from the coordinators that actually saw success with this offense. And I don't know if an offensive coordinator change is gonna fix it this time around, because if you change the offensive coordinator and the offensive line isn't just mauling dudes next year, nothing's gonna change. Like, even Kellen Moore, a as much as, won a Super Bowl and it was nice, he added his wrinkles and they were good and fun, whatever, the offense still wasn't, like, totally humming, at least in the passing game last year, but it didn't need to be, you know? We rushed for over 2,000 yards. It didn't need to be. They would want nothing more than on, every game from here on out, be able to run the ball and Saquon to have 150 rushing yards himself every game from here on out, and they wouldn't have to sweat about the passing game. There's nothing they would love for that than more than for that to occur. But the problem is that shit is not happening. That is not going to happen. The offensive line has been a bad unit this year. You got players that are banged up, but at this point, everyone should be healthy enough where that banged up excuse has to be out the door. They're just playing like garbage. They're playing like ass. Every single one of them is having multiple moments throughout a game where it's like, man, what the hell is he doing there? Why isn't he holding his block longer? Why is he just whiffing? Why is he so slow? All that sort of stuff. And it's not like it's going to need an off season to get better at this point if the offensive line is going to get back to form. Um, and I don't think a simple offensive coordinator change is gonna fix anything unless they let the offensive coordinator bring his system with him and implement it completely and throw out the Knicks system. Because the Knicks system, we've seen it over the course of the years, and it was really nice in 2022, things were all great, happy day, and then it's gone stale since. Teams made adjustments to it. It was never as dynamic as it ever was with Shane Steichen. And last year they got away with it because they were such a great running team. And this year they tried to kind of replicate it, and it hasn't worked in the slightest because they can't run the ball. And when you
so
can't
like
run the
if you
ball, all that sort of
here's
stuff,
the
it's
thing though
awful.
too. Here's the big thing though too is like the next offensive coordinator will just. I don't think they're going to get rid of Nick Sirianni. I don't, because I'll give you a couple reasons why. I know you're shaking your head.
Dude, I wouldn't have thought they were gonna fire Doug. And I know they're not 4-12 or whatever, but you can argue things are worse
Doug
if
had
this
less
team.
talent on offense than Nick
That's what I'm
does.
saying. If this team doesn't win the division, like if they choke the division away, fireable offense, dude. Like it absolutely warrants a firing.
This is why I think the Eagles. See, here's the thing, and this is where I brought this up before. Is and it's true. Is dude in the NFL? Like, let me back up a minute. We're getting nationally laughed at, like us are being, not us specifically, obviously. I would hope not. But you got Jets fans saying, "Wow, Eagles fans are something else. They won the Super Bowl last year, and they're booing their team out the door."
Listen, I don't give a
Meanwhile, I gotta basically live in the football version of hell, where if we win a game, we're excited.
listen, man. We are different. We are better than the Jets. We are better than Jets fans. We are better than that whole organization, top to bottom, everything included. I don't give a rat's ass what those humans have to say. I know they're good and they're great talent and all this stuff. Won the Super Bowl. It doesn't. I don't care. Like, the fact of the matter is that this team is far too talented and definitely put themselves in a great position to actually do something that's very difficult, and it's repeat, go back, go on
Well,
another deep
let's
playoff
just let
run,
me no, well, no, let
and
me
there's
just well, no, no,
they're
no. Like
squatting on
you
it.
have to talk about this. See, when you look at other coach firings, Eagles fired Ray Rhodes. They go to Andy Reid. Andy Reid was an unknown. No one knew who he really was. Even in 1999, he was the offensive coordinator for Green Bay, right? He was off Green Bay's offensive coordinator. People were kind of like, "Oh, who the hell is this guy?" Whatever. Green Bay, was very successful under Mike Holmgren. He was like Mike Holmgren's right hand man, right? I think if with like media and whatnot now, if the Eagles hired Andy Reid in '99 now, it'd probably be taking with more like fanfare, I guess. Whatever. They fired Andy Reid in 2012. They hired Chip Kelly. Chip Kelly was the big name, right? Big name, college guy, etc. Ended in a complete disaster, right? Oh my God, Chip Kelly's so much more creative than Andy Reid. He ran the same 5 damn plays every single game. There was absolutely zero creativity to that, right? Then they fired Chip. Eagles were looked at as a disaster, so they were stuck with Doug because no one wanted to come here for whatever reason. They didn't want to come here. Expectations, the roster, not wanting to work with Howie, etc. Okay, Doug comes in. Eagles win Super Bowl. Eagles decline for a few years. They go meet with Doug. Doug doesn't take the deal. Doug gets fired. What happens in the coaching search, Michael? Nobody wanted to come here because they thought, geez, Doug Peterson won them a Super Bowl 4 years ago. What kind of tenure am I going to have there? We're going to fire Nick Tiers after Super Bowl. Michael, like, that's the thing is like, unless Clint Kubiak is like going to tell Jeffrey Lurie and Howie Roseman, I want a 10-year contract, fully guaranteed. So if you fire me the moment I make a mistake, because you guys just, that's the slippery slope.
I think we're
That's
not.
the issue. You're looking at it in such a bubble
I'm not
that
looking at. I think if I was looking at a bubble, it's like we're excusing it. We've seen this story in song and dance before. He hired his guy. It didn't work out. They went over his head with the hiring, and it
so
worked.
if you hire Clint Kubiak and Clint Kubiak says, I want to pick my offensive coordinator and quarterbacks coach, and what if
He's
Howie
got a
says
higher
no?
track record than Nick Sirianni. Nick Sirianni, like, as a play caller or whatever, was not a thing, was not good. Clint Kubiak's gonna go call plays. Nick Sirianni, proven commodity to fail picking the OC. I think it's very fair for every coach to have their shot at their OC, but when you fail at it 2 times and your one success was when you first came over here when your guy wasn't really known in Shane Steichen,
Well, Shane Steichen was
I can't give you
actually
that
the
credit.
offensive coordinator for the Chargers
If
for
Clint
rookie
Kubiak comes
Herbert.
over and brings his guy and the Eagles are great and all the we're so happy and the OC goes and leaves, Clint Kubiak's still calling plays though. Like, I'll trust that. I'll believe in that. I'll enjoy that there. Sirianni, I just outside of his, like, horrible football scheme and, like, I think his bad in-game management and all that sort of stuff, I don't know if the message is really clicking anymore. Like, the players all stuck their necks out for him in 2023 because he was going to get fired after the season. Like, we know that that was going to happen. But all the veterans and all the good players on the team were like, "Listen, we love Nick. He, great coach, all this sort of stuff, good at." They stuck their necks out for him, and they kept him because of it. I don't know if the players are going to do that this time. Every comment that you hear gets made, it's players are just kind of frustrated, and then you watch what they put out in terms of effort, and it's grotesque, it's sloppy. The amount of penalties, it's sloppy as hell.
Yeah,
Pre-snap penalties,
yeah, man. There is a
sloppy.
lot of guys just saying "Ask KP."
Yeah, it's just a lot of ass KP. Jalen, didn't he's not playing well, which doesn't help, but if he's not playing well and the receivers aren't getting as open and the offensive line got a lot worse and the running back got worse, I can't just believe that all 11, 12 important guys on the offensive side of the ball are just bad now. I don't think that happens. I think that bad coaching breeds bad habits, breeds, you know, lacking enthusiasm and whatever, and this is what you get. This is the product that we're watching. I mean, they
Well, I
got
think a big
pounded
issue is
by a bottom 5
Sirianni's
defense.
not much of a disciplinarian. That's the vibe I get. I think
I mean,
he
he's a screamer and yeller. We hear him scream and yell in practice, but, like, he's not gonna take away your play time or whatever. I I
well,
think it's
no,
like
it's like they have meetings and they have like a basketball hoop and they, they're all. It's like it's more, very much more like I would say like the players have more autonomy. It's not like a Bill Belichick, dictatorship that's being
no,
ran.
of course not, of course not. I mean,
And
no
and
one's
I
really
feel like
like that.
the problem is in Philadelphia, fans are gonna like, this is gonna sound screwed up, Michael. Fans are gonna want a coach that's like, we need a hardline coach because I'm sick of AJ Brown tweeting. I'm sick of all these like
Well,
passive
those people
aggressive.
are breathers, man. Like, those people aren't smart, and it's just looking at it from what they put out on the field in terms of effort and in terms of offensive philosophy and in terms of
If they
everything.
fired Sirianni and hired Brian Dable, how would you feel about that?
I mean, they're not gonna hire Brian Dable because 'cause they're not a poorly ran organization. Brian Dable is an idiot and also, like, and total feels he's, like, borderline abusive to his other coaches is what the report said. They're not gonna go do that. They're not gonna be that stupid, I think. Um,
Well, like who would they bring in? Like that's the thing. Like
like Clint Kubiak,
well,
they're
here's
gonna
the thing though. Like
try.
Clint Kubiak, Michael. Clint Kubiak could be like look at the Eagles and then look at like a team, say the Titans. We'll say right. Here's the thing with Clint Kubiak. If Clint Kubiak becomes the Eagles head coach, and next year they go, let's say the Eagles go 11-6, right? They make the playoffs and they win a playoff game, then lose. Fans are going to want him fired.
No, they're not. It's gonna depend
No,
how
they
it looks.
will. Yes,
It's
they
gonna depend
will.
how it looks. Is it gonna look like this? If it looks
Oh,
like this, then
oh,
sure.
oh,
If
but like,
it doesn't though, or it's a normal playoff loss, like, my thought is that let's say the Eagles, like, in went to the NFC Championship game,
because when you, well, no, no,
and
no. Like,
say
here's
the
the thing. When you,
Lions met 'em there last year. Say the Lions met 'em there last year, and they went to Detroit, and it was a battle, and they lost, just a hard-fought, normal lost game where, yeah, you're not, like, pointing too many heavy fingers like, "Ah," you just lost, like, 28-24, something like that. That wouldn't have been, like, the heads need to roll game situation, like, having a good regular season and not making the Super Bowl and losing along the way can be very, like, generally acceptable depending on how it looks, and, like, the way it looked in 2023 was not acceptable. The way it looked in 2022, it's acceptable. They went to the Super Bowl, they lost a really tough one. The way, the Eagles lost in 2018 when they lost to the Saints of the, ball through Alshon's hands. That was pretty acceptable. We weren't, ready to shoot Doug into the sun for that loss or, burn anybody to the stake for it. I think it all depends how it looks. And right now, it looks like garbage. It looks like ass. They 28th in success rate in football right now on offense. That is atrocious, dude. 28? There's just the team is so filled with talent that's I think why I can't accept it. We're not running out here with some D tier level quarterback and Greg Ward and Jalen Rager at receiver anymore and Josh Adams in the backfield. We're not like that anymore. We have superstars and all pro caliber players at every head turn. I'm not saying we need to lead the league in offense, although God forbid they did for once. It just cannot be a bottom 5 unit. It can't be hot garbage. The Bears defense stinks. The Bears defense blows, and you know that too. They were down to their 4th and 6th linebackers as starters. They rank in the bottom 5 of every massive metric, normal statistic, counting stat, whatever the hell you wanna put. They rank bottom 5 in almost everything across the board, the Chicago Bears defense. And this offense was anemic again. It's unacceptable. not only should there totally be a play caller change before Monday, but Nick says there isn't. We'll see if there is
It's
some
not up
sort
to
of
Nick.
shift. It's not up to Nick. Nick can say it's not, but if we come
It
out
was up to
Monday
Nick
and they say
with Sean Desai getting
that
canned, wasn't it?
I don't remember. If Scott Loeffler
No,
is
it
gonna start
wasn't.
calling plays, we know where it came from. And if they're going over his head midseason to make some play caller changes, I think he's gotta know that his job is in hot effing water if they don't get this turned around and show a little dignity to end out the season. If he
See,
says in a public interview, "We're not making a play caller change," like, full stop, and then it comes out Monday that they have to announce that, "Oh, Kevin Patullo," whether he's fired or if he's gonna probably
he's
just,
been
you
stripped of
know,
play calling
stripped
duty.
of play calling duties, and play calling will now go to
Like
Scott
Johnny
Loeffler
Morton,
or
like
whoever,
Johnny
whoever.
Morton's been stripped of play
Yeah,
calling duties in Detroit. He's not fired yet.
right, whoever, but regardless, if that happens, we know it's coming from upstairs, and if you're going over the coach's head or saying, "No, Nick, we're doing this,"
I'll say this though:
y you gotta know you're
You'll know
cooked.
if Kevin Patullo's the league if he gets stripped of play calling duties, and then all this crap comes out about Jalen Hurts is late for meetings or AJ Brown's late for meetings or
Oh, I mean, what just came out? We just had 2 articles blurb out a little bit how Jalen is not, doesn't wanna run. It's his decision that we're not running the ball as much with the quarterback, and listen, I very much am all in on keeping Jalen healthy, but when you're in
yeah.
this
Go
much of
ask
a
Lamar
box with the
Jackson about
running
all the times
game,
he has to run, all the injuries he's had.
if you're in a box this much with the running game and you gotta open up the bag of tricks a little bit, not even bag of tricks, just the quarterback run game, it's what it's come to. They're not good enough
Yeah, like what's the
scheme-wise, and
yeah, this is the thing though. What's the knock on them? Now, if you want to knock Jalen Hurts for not wanting to run, then you can say, okay, like Jalen, you need to do better on the timing routes. You know, like the Smith Smitty slant route that was bad, but that's one bad throw. Like
I mean, the AJ
I
touchdown,
watched
I didn't
Josh
think was a
Allen
good throw.
last week have like 10 bad throws.
Listen, Jalen didn't play well. We don't have to sugarcoat it. It is what it is. I just think that when you look and you see that you don't have a coaching staff or whatever that has the ability to generate a great run game with just the running backs running, and you need to rely on your quarterback run to have an effective run game, but your quarterback doesn't want to do the run. This is, part of what's going to be such an issue.
Well, no, I
There's
think in a
teams
playoff
aren't
game,
worried
Jalen
about
Hurts would
Jalen
run.
running as much.
In a playoff game, Jalen Hurts would run. But
Okay,
I
we got
also
to get there.
that's the thing, and like I don't know, I did you listen to Nick Foles' podcast where he was talking about like he went on a rant, which like I don't know he
Yeah,
was
I mean, and
capable of
and Nick's
doing.
all right. Nick's always been a mild-mannered guy, but he's going on rants because it is frustrating. Why are we so slow to adjust something, to fix something? We're acting like it's not an effing problem. They're putting their heads in the sand every week.
Like he literally said he on his podcast he was like we would be in the huddle in games and like he's like JP Jason Peters would turn to me and be like, "Yo, Nick, backside run."
Whatever.
Let's call this
And
play.
he
Like,
goes and tells Doug when he gets to the sideline. Like, I don't know if they do any of that. I don't
and
know if the
here's the thing
coaches
though too.
listen.
He would be like, he's like, "Yo, we should call this," and Doug would be like, "Did JP say that?" And he's like, "Yeah," and he's like, "Let's do it."
Yeah, sure, man. I mean, it's all of that. It's all of that. And I'm sure they do that too a little bit. But there's just a painful lack of urgency.
Lane Johnson last year and Jordan Mailata after the in the bye week were like, "Dude, we need to start running the ball more."
That's my point. The urgency has come from the players in the past. Would a coaching philosophy
So
change
why are
have
they
happened
bossing
last
around
year?
Kellen Moore, but like Kevin Patullo's like not is like off limits?
Maybe they're stubborn ass and he's not listening. Maybe Nick's not listening this time because they were winning. I told you that
Do
too,
you think?
John.
Now let me
If
throw
they
this
were
out to
3 and
you.
1 last year at the bye, would they have made the
Let me throw this out to you. Do you think at this point right now, you mentioned you compared Nick Sirianni to Doc Rivers. What was Doc
okay,
Rivers great at doing?
deflecting?
What if Nick Sirianni's deflecting because he knows he's got a perfectly good fall guy for this year, and what? Howie gets to pick the new OC, and then all Nick has to do is, the new OC. Let's say the new OC wants to implement their own offense. Hey, Nick, you want a contract extension? You want to be one of the highest paid coaches in the league?
I mean, if they wanna just hold him in like a hog tie and force him to do whatever they want him to do, then I guess. It just feels like you're wasting your time at that point, and did you feel like
So
doing the
let's just
rigmarole
trade him to the
again?
Titans. Let's just, I mean, I'm
Yeah,
just,
just get him off the damn team. No, I hear you, like, it's
because that's the thing. Because, like, here's the
here's
thing.
my thing, I don't think the coaches and I don't think Nick will wanna hear it from people when they're winning. We've said this before, if they were 3-1 at the bye last year, do you think they go through the crazy change of philosophy in the offense?
If they were, what, 3-1?
3-1 instead of 2-2. I don't think so.
Uh,
'Cause I
no.
look at 2023 when they started 10-1, and we knew how annoying the offense was. They were putting up points in some games against bad defense, but against a good defense or a defense that would just blitz a lot, it was awful, and they never made an adjustment. They never, 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 ever made an adjustment because they were winning, and then they started to try to make adjustments later in the year, but it was too little, too late, the defense was too bad, it didn't matter anyways. This year, they're winning a bunch. They're winning with their dog shit philosophy. They win against
Well,
the
even
Lions and
last year,
Packers
dude.
playing like
Well, dude,
garbage.
last year, like the Panthers game and the Browns game both stand out to me, where the offense was just straight up bad.
It was, and bad
But they made
offensive games are gonna
adjustments.
happen.
That's the thing. That's the
They were winning throughout, so there was no reason to really fully tweak it. And then they almost lost the Panthers game, and it was like, "You know what? Alright, we're gonna throw a little more against the Steelers." And it worked. They threw it, it went great, they won. This year, they were winning a bunch. There was no reason to listen to anything because they kept winning, they kept winning. Now they're not winning, and you have a mini bye here, you'd like to think they're gonna all hands on deck try to fix something, but I don't know. I don't know. They shouldn't be favored this week against the Chargers, that's for sure, or next week, whatever. It's just
You're right, they shouldn't be, but the Chargers too, like here's the thing though with the Chargers is like their O line is bad.
so is
However,
ours.
theirs is bad for a different reason than ours, I think. Theirs is bad because all their good O linemen are all hurt.
Yeah, I'd
Our
rather be bad in their
our
way
O
than
line
our
is
way.
bad. Our O line is bad because we're predictable and we're not putting them in a great position to succeed.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I mean,
I'm gonna throw one last point and then we'll talk about the Thursday games. Do you think we see it? I've in the salary cap era, Michael, there have been only three teams, or actually two teams, but three different sets of teams that have gone back to back. 03 04 Patriots, the 20 no, the Eagles broke up the Patriots going back to back again a second time.
yeah, no, it was the Patriots in the early years, and then it was the Chiefs.
And the Chiefs.
Before that, it was the Cowboys.
And the Cowboys didn't really play in the salary cap era. The salary cap era didn't take place until after they went back to back. Funny enough.
Right, right.
So maybe a part of the Eagles' offensive problem is we just have too many of the same guys, and maybe you need to mix it up a little bit because that's what the Patriots did to a certain extent.
Is it
Maybe
less roster switch up and more just vibe and philosophy switch up?
I think you need a little bit of both.
So what, are they gonna trade AJ Brown?
I was thinking more or less like getting a new center and right guard, and then if Lane retires, well, then you got to get a new right tackle.
That's a lot of money invested in that center that you're just gonna magically wave a wand and get rid of.
What's his contract like?
He's what, the highest, second highest paid center or something like that?
Well, we're gonna hear, when an offensive lineman gets back surgery, it takes them a year to get back to normal. right? We're gonna hear that. Yikes. Well, he's going nowhere. So Cam Jurgens' contract, 4 years, $68 million. It's taken into effect next year. So he has a dead cap hit next year of 21 million. So you really can't get rid of him till 2027.
Yeah, no, like the Jason Kelsey endorsement of him carried a lot of weight,
Oh my
and
god.
I'm not blaming him for it. I'm just saying, like, I think a lot of the
He
decision
was good
making was
last year
made
until he basically
until he got hurt. But again, like, he was good. He wasn't like
like
best
effed
center in the
his
league
spine up,
good.
you know?
Yeah, like he was good. He wasn't best center in the league good, and they thought they had their guy and they paid him. And listen, maybe next year he heals and he's a lot better. But like, I mean, he's been like significantly worse than Brett Toth this season. Like, just and Brett Toth hasn't been anything like totally special, but he can at least move a little bit better. Like
Brett Toth
Cam
is
Jurgens is
average.
getting a little slow, and it's just it's just frustrating. It's very, very, very frustrating to
Well, I think
see.
Landon Dickerson, I think Landon Dickerson did not come into camp in shape, Michael, because he looked like he
He
was.
was not healthy. He just had knee surgery, and he
Well,
was
no, he had
dealing
the
with
knee
his.
surgery after he
I'm
got
sure
hurt.
his knee was hurting. Like I don't know. It just he's always hurt, unfortunately, Landon Dickerson. And it's not like, I'm not holding it against him, whatever, but he is. He's always banged up. He's always got something going on. And, I don't think they never let him heal. They shouldn't have had him playing early in the season. And they did. And he was horrible. And then he hurt his back because he was overcompensating for the knee. Uh, you know, and Mailata has been a disaster this season, no doubt about it. The worst year of his career probably since like 2018 or whatever, or
It
2019.
it does happen with this Eagles with the O line. It feels like it's like almost like a Haley's Comet deal. Once every 5 years, it's just horrible. Like 2020, it was horrible because they were all hurt, right? And
Yeah,
then 5 years
yeah,
before that, in 2015, it was horrible because Chip Kelly kind of ruined it, and they were all hurt.
yeah, yeah. So maybe we just have to suffer through this year. I don't know.
I
It's
think I
frustrating.
think that's I mean because I feel like once after the season ends, when like emotion like kind of comes down, and then we see how like they make moves, then it's going to be like okay, you know, they played 21 games in 2024.
I'm not doing it. I'm not giving them the benefit of the doubt. I'm sorry. Maybe it's not
Well, no, we're
fair,
going to
but
talk ourselves into it. Like that's just going to happen.
I won't talk myself into the
You're
excuse.
going
I'll
to
talk
talk
myself into
yourself
them
into it. I'm
fixing it,
telling
but
you.
not the excuse.
You're
Like
gonna you're gonna see a bad Phillies off season.
my biggest
Flyers
my
Flyers
biggest
drop off.
worry my
Sixers
biggest
screw something up.
my biggest worry is, I guess, now, like, I know the offense sucks. It is what it is at this point. I'm trying to start accepting it that I'm just going to see a bad offensive product every week. But the defense getting absolutely embarrassed by the Bears was not encouraging. Obviously, you're asking a lot of them. Maybe they shot their loads and were, gave every ounce of energy they had in the Packer and Lion game, and like they killed themselves doing it. Um, but they're going to need to lock in here against the Chargers and throughout the rest of the season. If they want any sort of chance, it's going to be 85 Bears defense required to get through this. Um,
Except the '85 Bears offense
I mean,
was
the only
good.
yeah, the only thing we've talked about, like keeping this super separate from the 2023 whatever collapse, was that we're like, well, the defense just isn't as bad as the other one, and it's still not. It doesn't suck now or anything, but it did play like it sucked, that's for sure. So they definitely need to play better as a unit, if they want to, have any remnants of hope of looking a little more like a professional team entering the playoffs. But regardless, ugly one. Congrats to the Bears. They look like they're going to be in a real good position to make the playoffs, sitting pretty at 9-3. Um, Lions missing would be really fun for myself, but if we don't win the division, I'm gonna be pissed regardless. Let's talk about Thursday. We can start with the Lions-Packers, the early Thanksgiving day that they moved to 1 o'clock. I didn't know that until Thanksgiving morning, um, that game was no longer at noon. Don't know what they're doing there, it's very annoying, but regardless,
Was it called college football?
no,
So they could go on noon.
they just moved it back an hour on Thursday just to do it. A real like, if I was a Packer fan, I'd feel like, "Oh my god, this is why we need to throw the ball a ton." The Lions sold out to stop the run, and they finally kinda made them pay for it. They finally were like, "You know what? F it, we're just airing it out with Jordan." And Jordan Love played a really, 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 really good game. Was accurate downfield, big time throws. They put the ball in his hands to end the game on 4th and 5 or whatever, and he dropped a great throw, to Dontavian Wicks. The receivers, outside of one Christian Watson drop that was pretty bad, at the end of the game there, they were very steady and making all the great catches and all the great plays. And, the Packers offense really, really cooked, and combo that with the Packers defense doing what we all know is the answer to stopping Detroit, and that is getting Jared Goff off his spot, and he will fold. He will fold like a cheap, patio chair, and he was getting beaten and battered. Micah Parsons once again taking over a game at times. It was dominant. Big storylines for them with the health. Amon-Ra St. Brown went down. They don't think it'll be that serious. They thought they were getting Frank Ragnow back, which that would have been really important and huge for the Lions, but grade 3 hamstring, tear or whatever strain where that means the whole thing is freaking ripped off the bone. Not sure how he's been walking or anything. Like, I have no idea how that's even remotely possible, but he failed his physical, so he won't rejoin the Lions this season. Um, so they have no one really coming to save their day. The Lions, you can attack them up the middle, get Jared Goff off his spot, and that offense is going to have issues. And the Packers, they threw all over them. So shout out Green Bay getting a huge win there, and the Lions, the playoff hopes are certainly dwindling for them. That's for sure.
Yeah, I will say this though for Green Bay, like Jordan Love, I agree. I agree with you, Michael. He played really well.
Hmm.
Green Bay really got bailed out though. On there were two plays that I think decided the game
Hmm.
very early in the game. The first one was the first Dontavian Wicks touchdown. Looked like it might have been incomplete because he
I thought it was a catch. I'll be honest. It was close.
and
I
it
did
it
think
really
he
is like
maintained it.
it literally is like referee's discretion. What because there's no real clear way of determining possession
Control. Yeah.
control, right?
Yeah.
There's not it's not clearly spelled out. So it's almost like in baseball, a pitch that's off the plate, is it a strike or a ball, right? It literally, but like, it could determine runs basically.
Because no, it was this very much discretion based because I thought it was like he has control, balls moving, but in his control, that sort of thing. Like the Corey Clement touchdown in the Super Bowl, that sort of thing. The ball was moving, but he kind of had it the whole time. And I think um, this was another case of that where he was under control of moving the football, and it was a touchdown. I thought they got it right. Um,
I think it was
I
right
mean,
too, but it felt like a 50-50 call just because
you've
when
seen you've seen
he
that go the other
established
way, yeah.
control, his foot was out of bounds.
Like the fine, I hear you. It's
But then obviously the giving Matt LaFleur a timeout when clearly there was a false start and they
yeah,
got a touchdown
yeah,
out of it.
sure. Well, it's not the Lions' year. Yeah, cry me a river. It's just what it is.
Well, no, the Packers were complaining about officiating, and then
Well, I mean the Lions.
I mean,
Well,
listen, 77%
same old
money
Lions.
line was on Detroit, and like, come on, man.
I made the call. Happy for it. Um, anyway, so that was a good game. The next game was also a good game, but the result It's a little frightening. I told you, John. I guess maybe it didn't look the way I thought it was gonna look because Mahomes throws for 4 touchdowns and no picks and lights it up, and they weren't even close to winning. Like, I know the score was close, but it wasn't like, "Oh, here comes KC to win it." They couldn't, Cowboys
Uh,
offense is legit, man. It is legit. The running game was really cooking early, passing game was cooking early too, and now they're playing well off of each other, and they got some stability on the defensive side a little
yeah,
bit to
well,
help
I mean,
things out.
It's really easy to have a good vertical passing game when they just either you're allowed to commit offensive pass interference without throwing a penalty, or you know the Dallas Cowboys in 2 games got their opponents had a combined 27 penalties. Do you know how
That's a
freaking easy it is to win football games when you get a free 150 yards given to you by an opponent?
I hear you. I mean, all
If
that
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 wasn't the
they're
Kansas City Chiefs,
collapsing.
Michael, if that wasn't the Kansas City Chiefs, if that was like the Denver Broncos or the LA Rams, that would have been a much bigger deal because the Chiefs on social media and I think now in national media, it's like they always get all the calls.
Yeah, well, then again, they're not getting some of the calls, not going their way, and tough. But the Cowboys, man, they're playing good football. Like, benefited from the officiating, sure, but they're playing good football. George Pickens, very, very good. CeeDee Lamb had a great bounce back game. Um, and the defense, stabling out a little bit, getting some needed pressure. It's tough because there's just so many NFC teams that they do still need to leapfrog to get into the playoffs, but that tie is gonna grow fruitful, and listen, the division is absolutely in range. If I was a Cowboys fan, I would have my sights set hard on the division. Um, the Eagles are floundering, and they're certainly ascending. They are on the upswing of 3 straight wins now. So, we will be seeing how the Cowboys finish out, but the Chiefs, we have to talk about the Chiefs that the dagger put a fork in them in their season? Was that it? Are they done? Are they not going to make the playoffs?
You know, I've saw on Twitter a lot of their fans are like fire Andy Reid, and I'm like,
That's not gonna fix your problems.
I think I quote tweeted one of them. I said if Todd Haley was still your head coach, or what? Who's that guy who coached the Browns when they went winless?
Hugh Jackson?
Yeah, if you had Hugh Jackson if you drafted Patrick Mahomes with Hugh Jackson, I said Patrick Mahomes would be Justin Fields.
Yeah.
So this
I
fire
mean,
Andy Reid nonsense, it needs to stop.
yeah. I mean, the Chiefs are sitting as the 9 seed currently, um, in the AFC. They do not have the tiebreaker over Buffalo.
They have a
They've yet
tiebreaker over the Ravens.
They do, but does that the Ravens are behind them. So, uh oh, well, I guess because of the tiebreaker, but they don't have the tiebreaker over Jacksonville. They do. I mean, the Colts are just too far away. I can't assume they're gonna catch the Colts. And you look at Houston, they've yet to play them. Houston's got a huge game against the Colts today. That'll be a fun one we'll talk about later. But
They
the
need the
playoffs,
Eagles to beat the Chargers, most certainly.
yes, yes, they do. A lot of teams are gonna all of a sudden start needing the Eagles' help, which is funny, but it is true. The Eagles' help is gonna be very important for these teams. We kind of screwed the Cowboys a little bit by losing to Chicago, so maybe there's a positive. Um, but the Chiefs do look like they could be cooked, and it's crazy to think. It really is crazy to think. We were all expecting the regression. When's the actual normal regression going to come? What's it going to look like? And we thought about it in the sense of, well, what happened to those Patriot teams when they stopped winning Super Bowls? Like, what occurred? And it was just like, well, they would just lose in the playoffs, whether it was to Baltimore, whether it was to Denver, whether it was to Pittsburgh, whether it was to Indy, whoever. They would just lose in the playoffs occasionally, and it was very normal, and it wasn't a big deal. It wasn't Brady's legacy is cooked. It wasn't the dynasty's dead. Like, obviously, social media makes all that shit 10 times worse. However, I did not see it as they're going to miss the playoffs and, like, Mahomes is gonna be healthy. You know, Brady got hurt and the Patriots missed the playoffs. Mahomes being healthy, I thought would just always be enough to get in, but they're just not getting the breaks. You know, they've gotten so many breaks go their way, not even just officiating, but just, like, little things, little mistakes, little time decision, whatever, that have gone their way over the years. And then, like, week 2 should have been the Eagle game, should have been, like, the huge vibe shift of, like, "Oh, you're telling me Hall of Fame connection, Mahomes to Kelsey, Travis Kelsey drops the go-ahead touchdown that falls into the arms of the Eagles rookie for an interception that the Eagles drive down the field and score a touchdown with to get up 2 possessions and effectively put the game away." Like, that never happens to the Chiefs. You know, we did the Chiefs thing. We were doing the Chiefs thing early in the season where we were getting the borderline BS play to go our way to win a game, and the Chiefs were on the wrong end of it. And that sort of thing has happened like 5 times further this season, and they're sitting at 500 by December. So we'll see how they can crawl and scratch to get in there, but they definitely have a lot of work to do, and they need some help. They need things to go their way.
So funny enough, Eric Bieniemy, former Chiefs OC, is the running backs coach on the Chicago Bears.
Mhm.
You see how, like, I don't. We're not going to give Eric Bieniemy the credit for their running game being much better because obviously Ben Johnson plays is the
And,
main
yeah,
reason.
it's the Lions thing.
But you talk about like losing coordinators, losing coaches. Matt Nagy's going to get canned after this season. He's going to be the one
Yeah.
eating the blame for the Chiefs, like just poorest run game, right? But Michael, they got rid of Joe Tooney for like peanuts, and they didn't replace him. You got rid of a Hall of Fame offensive lineman and replaced him with like a nobody, basically.
Yeah, they make weird investments on their team, and it's like the rushing attack, it's not
I
brutal.
mean, I'll say this about the
It's just
Chiefs.
not explosive. The rushing attack is not explosive. They have
You're
0
too
hope.
young to remember this, Michael. When Andy Reid was the head coach of the Eagles, when they would like let go of guys, you let go of Brian Dawkins and you replace him with like Nate Allen.
Right.
You let go of John Runyon and you replace him with Stacey Andrews.
Yeah.
You let go of certain guys and bring in like the worst possible like replacements.
Mhm.
This is kind of the result of this, right? You let go of Tyreek Hill and you don't really add that explosive wide receiver. Rashi Rice, I think, is good.
But he's not,
He's not
you
an
know,
elite wide receiver.
he's not a field stretcher either. Like, you know, you drafted guys, you've tried Sky Moore, you know, Xavier Worthy, you brought in Hollywood Brown, and none of them are all that
Like
good, you
when
know?
like Lad McConkey, let's say the Chiefs drafted Lad McConkey, we'll just say
He'd be great for that sort of offense.
people would have been like on the Chiefs. They'd be like, "Oh my God, Lad McConkey." They're like, he's like Mahomes has his Wes Welker now.
Yeah, I mean,
Ooh,
they need just a true, really
well,
great
they've just been
receiver.
bad at drafting for like three
They coulda got
years.
Devontae Adams, just is what it is,
Well,
and
no,
they
they've just
didn't.
been bad at drafting, and they don't have replacements, and now this is kind of the result of it,
Well, you get a
right?
cheap owner too, that doesn't help,
Yeah, that's true
but
too.
yeah, but then the night game on Thanksgiving, you know, big upset win that, I mean, you saw coming. A lot of people generally had a vibe that it'd be tight, I guess, but I just don't think we thought it was gonna look like this, you know? I don't think we figured it was gonna
I
look
called
like.
it, but I'm annoyed as soon as I'm like Chase is going to freaking cook this hapless secondary. I failed to take into account that once they got to the red zone, the Ravens were going to stick 8 defenders on Jamar Chase, and then like
He needed a big play touchdown, that's all he needed, but, I mean, the Ravens, the offense is just it's it's bad, and it's also really weird too. Like, they do this thing with Derrick Henry, and I don't know if it's because he's old or whatever, but they almost give him, like, NBA style minutes. Like, he played, uh he played, like, 11 snaps in the first half or something out of, like, their almost 35 or whatever, and he played 10 of them in the first quarter, and then he barely plays in the second quarter, and then they just don't really run the ball in the second half, and it kinda kills them. They really need to lean on the run game a little bit.
Wait, you mean to tell me the Ravens have bad coordinators and they're underachieving with an elite roster?
A
Wow.
bad head coach. Yeah,
Wow.
how about that?
Wow.
It's frustrating. It's weird. Lamar's just not playing up to his standard at all. He's
Well,
struggling a
Lamar's
lot.
hurt. He's not
Well, the
healthy.
offensive line is really bad too, like, that
He's
doesn't
not
help.
healthy.
It's last year and years prior, it's like he could run around and someone will eventually get open and he makes a nice throw, and now he's running around and no one's getting open. He's just throwing it to nothing. He's throwing it away. He's throwing it to open space and no one's there, and the
Well, I
Ravens
mean, it doesn't
also
help you have a touchdown taken off the board on a very
a
ticky-tacky
dumb pen
OPI. Like, you just
oh, and they also have the fumble through the end zone, like, they're just again, sloppy, lack of details, it's ugly. Um,
I th What I text you, the Ravens are the dumbest team in pro football.
yeah, yeah, no,
They're
it's just
dumber
it's
than the
ugly.
Eagles, by the way, too. Like, I know what you want to say, like, the Eagles are pretty
I mean, the
dumb.
Eagles aren't I'm not calling them stupid, I'm just calling them bad at the moment, but, yeah, they have a lot of issues they need to fix, like, they were running the table against really bad quarterbacks, and not great teams, and, you get Burrow and Chase back, and they just can't score, that's their problem, their
Yeah,
offense is very much
Al
the
Golden, the
problem.
Bengals D coordinator, is not an NFL caliber coach. So it's bad when you let a guy like Al Golden look competent because you just pew, 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 pew,
Yeah.
pew, pew, pew.
Yep, 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 but that's huge too, I mean, huge for playoff implications in the AFC. Massive for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Now they're sitting at the top of that division still at 6-5. Ravens could have been 7-5 and really starting to take a strangle a little bit. But listen, that division's far from over. They're only, if the Steelers lose today, they're tied again.
I
Um,
also think too, it was definitely a game where listen, Joe Burrow was catching crap for Joe Flacco ball and putting up numbers.
yeah,
And think about
yeah,
this game. They're on the road against a team that's, the hot was at the time, I suppose, the hottest team in the league, ripping off one of the hottest teams in the league, ripped off 5 straight wins. Lamar
yeah, a
came
lot of
back,
wins.
winning games, and then Joe
Embarrassed. They've been embarrassed at home a lot of times, Baltimore.
yeah,
They've
like
they've been
Joe Burrow just needed a quarter just to get warmed back up. He was cooking them after that first quarter when he was struggling.
yeah. But all right. Good good week of football games, I guess. Let's get to today. Let's get to a couple hours from now. Opening us up, we have a humongous matchup in the AFC South. The Houston Texans head up to Indianapolis to take on the Colts. The Colts are 3-point favorites at home. This is
Why?
gonna be another huge test for the Indianapolis Colts. Can they handle another, strong defensive effort and a team that can generate pressure and get after Daniel Jones? Um, the Texans are really flexing their defensive muscles. They have, the best defense, top 2 defense, whatever, top 3 in the league, and they get CJ Stroud back today, which is very, very massive for
No,
them,
he's
and
inactive.
they don't get him back today? Everywhere I've read, he's out?
Oh, we know. Oh, they lied here. He is playing today. They're a bunch of
Okay.
dirty fibbers.
Yeah, yeah,
It was a
okay.
clickbait headline. Week 13 inactive. CJ Stroud was listed first, and then they cut it off.
Yeah, and the rest of the line said CJ Stroud making his return, like something stupid like that. Yeah, no.
It's exactly what
But
happened.
so
So
Stroud is back, and the Texans defense is ferocious. The Colts coming off a really brutal loss to KC. I understand why the Colts are favored, I guess. But that Texans defense, man, I just think it's going to be good the rest of the year. They know that's where the strength lies. They know that's where they need to push. I'm going to take the Texans getting the 3 points going their way and just make Daniel Jones really uncomfortable. Get a couple I could see 2 strip sacks today against him. If the Colts really wanna do their
Well,
best,
the Steichen
Taylor
off.
needs
Well,
30 carries.
the last time I think. Let me look something up here real quick. So Texans, Colts, all time. Because D'Amico Ryans has been coaching the Texans for at least a few years now.
Mhm. 3 years.
So, oh, freaking stat muse, bro. You need to pay for this. I want to see what happened the last couple times. All right, last year, the Texans won 23-20. And then last year, they won 29-27. And then the previous game before that. So these are all relatively very, whenever these two teams play, they are very close games historically, right?
Mhm.
I kind of think now maybe we're due for a game where it's not a close game.
To the Texans, you mean?
So I'm picking the Texans for. I'm going to tell you why, dude. You mean to seriously tell me Daniel Jones, who has a fractured leg, is going to not only start today, but he can't run. That's been the biggest asset of the. So basically, what Steichen has done with Daniel Jones is made him play like Jalen did in 2022. And up until 3 weeks ago, he looked like he was putting up Jalen Hurts numbers, Jalen Hurts 2022 numbers until his carriage turned back into a pumpkin because it's Daniel Jones.
Yeah, I think the Colts, if they have any shot today, they're just gonna have to run the ball with Taylor like 30 times and just kinda hope it works because they got away from it in KC. They felt the heat coming, they tried to air it, and Jones couldn't hit a damn thing. And the Texans, they're gonna be able to kinda do whatever they want because they can get pressure with their front four pretty relentlessly. So if the Colts wanna try to throw it a bunch, they can drop back and send 4 and get like crazy pressure on Jones. If they gotta load the
Oh,
box up and get quick
by the
pressure that way
way,
too, they can do it both ways.
because Anthony Richardson is still hurt with the broken orbital bone, Riley Leonard, rookie quarterback from the University of Notre Dame, is the backup quarterback for the Colts.
Interesting. Maybe he comes in. We'll see. But we're both taking Texans there. Next game we have is the Cardinals heading to Tampa to take on the Buccaneers. Buccaneers are 3.5-point
Do you think?
favorites at home.
I'm sorry. I want to have one last point I want to bring up. The Texans have been undefeated since Davis Mills took over as the starting quarterback.
I mean, undefeated. Was it 3 games?
Well,
Right.
yeah. Well,
I mean, if they lose today, I'm
if
gonna.
they lose today, do you think that?
I'm not
What do
gonna.
you think?
I'm probably not blaming CJ Stroud. I'll be honest.
What if they lose 13-10?
And I guess it's his fault. I don't see them losing 13-10. I think if they lose, it's because the defense gets a little, you know. I think the Colts, they're desperate. They the one slip up against the Chiefs and the division tightening a little bit. They're only what a game up on uh Jacksonville, only 2 games up on Houston that could immediately get eviscerated this week. So yeah, very, very scary game. I'm taking the Texans, though. I think they do make that division real tight. So Cardinals Bucks in Tampa. Bucky Irving is back. Baker is just not like. Is he? What is the?
He's
He's gonna
playing.
play, but I mean, he's not healthy at all. If that's his shoulder again, the same shoulder he hurt in Cleveland. It's not good. We know how much that
Do you
hurts
think
him.
Baker's just a bad QB when he's injured?
I mean, I have questions about how good he is when he's healthy, and now you're injuring him. I mean, the shoulder thing was a huge reason everyone in Cleveland thought he was really, really bad, and that's why they moved on from him. And then it was like, well, let him just. Then he healed up, and he showed that he's got some juice. Um, but today, I think is going to be a huge day for the Buccaneers to just pound the rock. I think you could see, like, all 3 running backs getting, like, 12 carries today, not even an exaggeration. It could really be, a true committee that they all get involved in a very run first look in a game like this. Um, I think they're gonna wanna protect Baker and only have to use him when they have to. I'm sure they're telling him, "Listen, man, you can't take big hits today. No running, sliding every time you run, no, no holding the ball too long. You gotta get it out." Like, and it's important if they wanna save their season, which is in total ruin at this point, they're definitely gonna need him to be playing and be healthy. So, luckily for them, I do think the Cardinals are still not very good at all, and I think that that strategy can be quite successful, and I think Tampa's very much due for a victory and a decent looking game. So I will take the Buccaneers minus 3.5 tentatively. It's such an ugly slate, a lot of gross games, a lot of hard teams to predict, a lot of people banged up, but I'll lean on Tampa's side just for the excess of talent. Getting Bucky Irving back should be huge for them.
I'm going with the Cardinals. And this is kind of why I'm leaning towards the Cardinals a little bit here is this that Buccaneers secondary, like back seven, we'll just say, is just really bad.
Mhm.
And like Jacoby Brissett might be one of like the is just a really bad matchup for that defense because we know he does not care if he sees somebody open at all, he's just gonna fire it out as fast as possible. And he saw it against the Niners defense. Well, the Niners defense is very well coached. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers are banged up and they're just having a rough year, I think, with
Mhm.
especially with health. So also to the Baker Mayfield injury, like he's a big reason for their offensive success. Like, who is Tampa's backup quarterback, Michael?
Teddy.
Oh, it is Teddy. Bro, Teddy's like a
When he played
mentor.
against the Rams, it was terrible.
Yeah, Teddy's I think he's
He's just cooked. I'm thinking he
Teddy's
was
like
out of
Josh
football for,
McCown.
like, a year.
Like Teddy's basically Josh McCown. He's great for the quarterback room, great for film, great to mentor, be a mentor to young guys. You don't want him playing, is my point.
Yeah, yeah.
You don't want him playing. So with that being said, I don't know, man. Like 3.5 makes me think like Bucks win by a field goal. That's kind of how they win. That's like the only way they win games,
Mhm.
you
Yeah.
know?
Next game, we have the Jags-Titans in Tennessee. The Titans are 5.5-point home underdogs.
Michael, I really want to take the Titans here. I
Yeah,
really,
I'm
really want
there.
to do it, but I
You know
can't
what?
trust them.
I am gonna do it. I'm not restoring my faith into the Jacksonville Jaguars, into Trevor Lawrence, into all of it. Um, Give me, like, that game finishing, like, 20-16, and whichever way it falls, that means the Titans covered. I think it might be an ugly one. I'll take Tennessee.
I mean, the Titans have one win, but they're 5-6 against the spread,
That's what I'm
Michael.
saying, man. They're favorites out there. They're handling business. They totally backdoor covered crazy against Seattle, last week.
I'm taking the Titans as well.
Mm.
You know,
Maybe them backdoor covering Seattle last week was their effort, and they might get rolled today, but I don't know. I feel like it's the opposite. Like, the Jags, they played a tight game against Arizona, came out, sold the win, but it feels like they ebb and flow in very extremes, so maybe the slip is
division
very extreme.
game.
Yeah, yeah. Um, this one, Rams-Panthers, makes you think. The Rams
When they're
are
when they're
10-point favorites on the road, and it just feels like the Rams are dying for a game where they can just kinda chill. Um, they after they blew out the Jags in London.
London.
The opponents they played well, I'll fast forward the following week. They came back from London, they played the Saints at home, and they rolled them, handled business. In 3 straight games at 49ers, blowout win, but, the Niners were able to move the ball and score 2. The home Seahawks game that, Darnold disaster that they almost choked away, and then they absolutely rolled Tampa. 3 NFC teams that are gonna make or contend for the playoffs. They play Carolina, which obviously they are contending for a playoff spot as it stands. They go to Arizona for a division game the following week, and then they come home to play the Lions, at Seahawks, at Falcons, home Cardinals. This Panthers game is their only game that, feels like they just gotta get through. They got their veterans, they got their old guys. They just wanna get through with a win. There's no reason for them to stat pad. There's no reason for them to push for anything. The Eagles have now lost 2 games in a row. The Rams are in wonderful position, to win the 1 seed in the NFC. I mean, if I was a Rams fan, I'd be kicking my feet up the way the Eagles are looking. The Eagles, they lose to the Cowboys, then you play later that night, blow out another NFC playoff team. Fast forward to Friday, the Eagles look like garbage and lose, and now you have a chance to play against another cupcake against the Panthers. Maybe they lift their foot off the gas a little bit, win the game. I think it stays close enough. Tampa or Carolina is certainly desperate. They flounder, whatever. I'm going to take the Panthers plus 10. I think the Rams, they win an ugly one, not, trying too hard, hopefully just trying to get out of there with a win and then move on against the
I
division games next.
agree. I like the Panthers as well. I do think that I think the Rams are due to have a down game because this is kind of the spot where you kind of have the down game. Like
Mhm,
your rival teams are losing the games to help you out, and you're like, you know, playing some bad teams. You're putting up points. And listen, man, I have a lot of respect for Matthew Stafford as well.
mhm.
It does kind of feel like, and we know this about McVay, there are times he will take the gas off the pedal if it means preserving health or, you
Dude,
know,
they've actively sat starters in a game that had they had won, they would have moved up a seed because he valued the health as opposed to the move up from, like, the 4 seed to the 3 seed. Do you remember that? It was,
I
like,
remember that.
2018 or 2023, something like that. It was
Yeah.
wild. So, yeah, we know that he does that, yes.
And like, listen, man, man, Panthers are a frisky team. Like
Yeah.
they'll go and lose 30-0 to like the lowly Falcons,
Mhm,
and then they'll go and beat Green Bay in a physical game. They'll
mhm.
outmuscle Green Bay. Like they're like a coin flip team. I feel like we're at the point of the season now when the books really start making their money back.
Mhm.
Like you look at all the heavy teams here, right? So far, Rams, Jags, Bucks, Colts, and we got another heavy team after this as well. So why don't you
So you're
lead us?
taking Carolina?
I am taking Carolina.
Okay. Next team we have is the Saints Dolphins in Miami. Miami's 5.5-point favorites. I'm gonna ride with that, I think. The Saints are they're just not good. They'll play one good game every now and again. And, not to spend too much time on this game because it really is not that important. Dolphins are coming off a bye. Um, does that even matter? Who knows? I just think they're going to be able to move the ball however they please with Devon Achan, and that should ultimately probably just be enough. So give me Miami at home.
It does feel like Tyler Shuck is due to get slapped around in a game. He hasn't really gotten that yet. I mean, like 3 picks, no touchdowns is what I'm thinking, right? I think this might be
Yeah.
the game. So I am taking the Dolphins as well.
Okay. Next we have the Falcons Jets up in the Meadowlands.
I'm
Falcons are
going with the
three
Jets,
point.
dude. The Falcons feel like dead team walking.
Yeah, yeah. Even though they won last week, right? Against New Orleans. Like it just
Yes.
shows up the Saints. But yeah, I'm taking the Jets +3 with you. The weather in like the Midwest and Northeast part of the country is very strange at the moment. I think especially in the Midwest can impact some games, but I don't know. You're taking a dome team outside in the cold, and Kirk Cousins and his old frail bones are going to be, bone chill. And Drake London's also not playing. Like, it's just going to be a lot of Bijan and hoping that's enough. But I don't know. It feels like the Jets just do a nice job at. They might get a win. They might mess around and get a win. So, give me the Jets +3 points.
The dreaded -3 on the road for a
Yeah,
bad
it's
team.
just it's just not where you want to be. This next
So
game, very
yeah,
interesting
so
one.
I was about to
The
say though, can I just mention something though, real quick?
Yeah,
In this game, I love Brees Hall's props today.
yeah,
Because
okay.
if you notice, ever since the trade deadline, I thought Brees Hall would just pack it in. He is running angry. This is the best I've seen him look all season. I think he knows if he puts up a monster second half, he is going to cash
He's gonna get paid.
in
Yeah,
free
yeah,
agency.
yeah. He's going to get paid. And yeah, no, you're right. Next game we have the Browns and we have the 49ers in Cleveland. Niners. Brock Purdy returns, plays like garbage, but they win anyways against the hapless Panthers. This game, dude, you're taking Brock into the cold and the elements, and apparently, I mean, just looking at sports books to be like, what's the vibe of this game? The the third highest 49er touchdown prop is Juwan Jennings at plus 300. Ricky Pearsall is plus 410 to score a touchdown as the top two wide receivers for the San Francisco 49ers. Juwan Jennings has scored a touchdown in like four of his last five games, and he's plus 300 as anytime touchdown. So clearly, throwing the ball in Cleveland is not going to be advised whatsoever. It's not a great week for me to have Harold Fannin as my starting tight end, but it seems like the ball is not going to be in the air much in that game. And thinking maybe that does benefit the Niners a little bit because we know how good the Browns pass rush is, but I don't know, man. Brock just played so bad and looked so awful that I do think if he drops back to pass, I mean, Myles Garrett is going to be coming hard for that. He's coming for that sack record, and
I
he's might
so
blow by it before Christmas at this
I want
point.
to so
He's
I want to bring this up, the sack record real quick. Can I throw
Yeah,
out a scenario your way? And if I tell you the scenario, you might agree with me. Trent Williams has not been good this year for the Niners because he's like 37, 38 years old. Like he's been around forever. Like I think he may have been drafted when like Jim Zorn was the head coach of the Commanders.
he was drafted in 2010.
I think, yeah, 2010 Washington Redskins. So let's see who their head coach. It was Mike Shanahan, bro.
I was gonna say it was Shanahan. Yeah,
Mike Shanahan was. That's how long he's been in the NFL. He's playing for his former coach's son again. Do you think it would be? Do you think Trent Williams would potentially intentionally injure Myles Garrett out of sheer frustration of him just getting dominated by him? And then Garrett doesn't get the sack record because Trent Williams is dirty.
Um, no, I don't know. I think that's a lot of theatrics that I guess you can't put past them, but I don't think we're in store for that today. Maybe we do. We'll see. But yeah, Garrett's just on a whole nother planet. I think he can make Brock Purdy, put him in hell for sure. I do like McCaffrey should be able to run well in this game. I don't know. It's probably going to be low scoring, ugly, sloppy. Can't kick in this weather. Can't throw in this weather. Give me the Browns plus 5.5.
I'm taking the Niners. I feel like, and this is the reason why I'm taking it.
Myles Garrett just posted a hype video before today's game, so
Let's
just
just say
letting that
Miles
out
Garrett
there.
posted a SpongeBob meme of how many times we have to do this, old man, to Trent Williams.
It was Trent. It was a hype video with Trent Williams admitting that he's nervous about his matchup with Myles Garrett this week. They asked, "Have you lost any sleep?" And he was like joking, and then said, "No, I can't lie. I have a little bit thinking about Myles Garrett." So that's where Trent Williams is at, worried.
Do you think Shador is gonna like make a lot of mistakes, like turnover wise? Like this is how the Niners win games, though.
Hmm.
That's kind of how like Robert Saleh operates with his defense. It's very turnover heavy. Make the other team make mistakes, and like capitalize on it. Just because I think Shador is definitely better than Dylan Gabriel, but I think
Yeah,
Dylan Gabriel is so awful and so bland. Like he doesn't really turn it over because he's not capable of throwing into a turnover worthy situation, so to speak. I think where
yeah. I mean,
Shador is way more talented, but
Shador's a lot more talented, I think, and he's more willing. He's a more willing passer, a little more confident, like less afraid to make mistakes, which I think. I mean, I think he generally should be. Obviously, there's worry, but at this point, he should be playing pretty freely, pretty loose.
like this should be like Quinshawn Judkins gets 30 carries today.
I mean, there should probably be like a total combined like under 30 passes today, like the way they're making the weather out in Cleveland seem like. Um, Next game we have to open up the 4 o'clock slate. We have the Jesus Christ. We have the Seattle Seahawks at home against the Vikings. 11.5 point favorites. John, I'm taking Seattle. JJ McCarthy, outside of Justin Fields, maybe is the worst quarterback. And like again, we talk about this all the time. Bottom, he's like top 40, maybe top 45 quarterback in the
I
NFL.
think Tyler Shuck
Um,
is better than him.
oh, easily. Spencer Rattler's better than him. Mac Jones is better than him. It's not even close to some of these guys. He is horrible. All his great college games, they run the ball. They don't throw it. It was obvious from miles away. And
Like, okay, we know 9 sucks. Like, we know that.
yeah, anyway, so he's terrible. And that does a lot.
The rub here is this is the Sam Darnold revenge game because the Vikings gave up on him and they stink. And listen, here's the thing though, too, though. This is a good test though for Sam Darnold, I think, at the same time.
Yeah.
The Vikings still have the chaos defense. I know they're a little banged up, but like, what if Darnold throws like 4 picks
Yeah, no, if the
again?
as much as it's like, oh,
It
Darnold
could
shook
happen.
today, it could. They could definitely get him uncomfortable and force some ghost seeing bad throws. But I am still going to take Seattle. I'm going to trust it. I'm going to trust that Rams game kind of changed their mentality a little bit to, you know, be a little more whatever. So give me Seattle. Are you taking where you at?
Dude, I can't put my faith in 9 right now.
No, no, you can't.
We got to take
You can't.
Seattle.
Yeah. Next game, tough one. Steelers Bills in Pittsburgh. Weather again, ugly, messy, no idea what it's going to look like. Buffalo's 3-point favorites on the road, the dreaded 3-point road favorite when you're struggling. Does this feel like a snap out of it, get right spot? Rodgers banged up, that sort of
Rodgers has
thing.
his wrist broken in 3 places.
And he's playing, right? Or is
Uh,
it Rudolph?
Mason Rudolph is better than 9. Oh no, Aaron Rodgers has told the Steelers he is
Yeah,
playing.
he's off the injury report. He's playing. Yeah, no, he's in there.
How's he off
So
the injury report with a broken wrist in three places?
yeah. So
What's
he's
the point of
playing.
the injury report if you're injured and you're not on said report?
I don't know. Give me Buffalo -3. I'm not trusting the Steelers, I think, at the moment, and it's while it would make sense for the Steelers to win today to really make that Ravens loss feel a lot worse, I think there's a path where that Steelers loss the Steelers lose today, they go to 6-6, and I'm not saying anything's gonna happen, but the Bengals would then be just 2 games behind both of those teams for the division. Not saying anything's gonna happen. All I'm saying is by the time Christmas and a little bit after is rolling around, we may take a glance at the AFC North and see 3 teams within 1 game of each other for the top of that division. So, give me the chaos AFC North and give
How
me
far
the
back are
Bills
the
to win.
Browns from the division?
If they win today, they are tied with the Bengals, also being 2 games back of the lead for that division.
Okay.
So they're also lurking in the shadows. Could you
I'm
imagine
taking
Shador leads them to the division title?
so let me throw out something here to you for a path to a Steelers victory. James Cook is probably the second best running back this year in football. Would you agree with that?
Um,
Behind Jonathan Taylor?
sure. No, I'd give it to McCaffrey, but he's up there. Yeah.
The Steelers held Jonathan Taylor to 45 rushing yards when they beat the Colts at home.
hmm
Do you think they're going to be able to neutralize James Cook?
They're gonna try.
Because
They're
their rush defense
definitely
has been spotty this year. They'll have games like
yeah,
they'll stop Jonathan Taylor and then they'll go and get steamrolled by the Jets. Like it doesn't make sense.
yeah, yeah.
So to me, the Steelers are like the AFC equivalent to the Panthers. I just don't know. I really just don't
Yeah.
know.
Well, I think we know the Panthers are bad. I think ultimately. I
Well, the
don't know.
Steelers are bad.
Yeah, but I think they have a little more juice, you know, just a little bit. They have some better voodoo, I guess. So
I'm
you're
taking I'm
taking
taking the Bills. I'm going to tell you why I'm taking the
okay.
Bills. Like to me, I just think that oh my god, I'm going to sound like Tony Romo. Like Josh is just going to go out and
Superman
Josh.
cape.
Yeah,
Yeah. No, you're right, man.
the Steelers are starting a one-handed man today who's
Yeah,
40.
yeah, yeah. Next game we have the Raiders and the Chargers. The Chargers are 10-point home favorites to the Las Vegas Raiders. Um,
Yeah, yeah.
I,
The Eagles are in
I,
trouble if the Raiders win this game. That's all I'm saying. They're in deep, deep trouble.
I just might be in trouble anyways. Um, but I hear you. It's a valid, very valid sentiment. I'm going with the Chargers. Raiders are just like excuse me. They fired Chip Kelly.
Do you know Chip Kelly is
Rumors
actually
that he's currently
was
calling
making more money
plays.
this year than some head coaches?
I mean, that just could not have gone any worse for them, to be honest. Their whole thing is blown up in their face. Their whole strategy is backfired. Nothing is really going right for them. And yeah, the Chargers, despite the injuries, they kind of can manage at times. And they still aren't getting back Omari and Hampton, but Kamani Vidal has been pretty solid for them all year, and I expect him to have another nice day today. So yeah, and the Chargers are coming off a bye, so give me Los Angeles. minus the 10 here.
Yeah, I mean, the O line for the Raiders is still awful, you
Hmm.
know, regardless of the play caller, you know.
Yeah, and
I
Gino's still
mean,
not playing
the
good, you
last
know.
time Chip got fired prematurely, the Eagles in 2015 had a really good offensive game. I mean, are they going to play ball control offense and
I
keep
mean, are we
Tony?
talking I don't know, man. We're talking about the
Man,
10
I don't
10
know.
year Sam Bradford Eagles. Like,
I'll say, man, I don't know, dude. The Chargers I'm taking the Chargers, but like I'm taking them with like reservation that they
yeah.
will find some way to let the Raiders cover the game.
Hmm. Um, Next game, Broncos Commanders. Sunday Night Football. They elected not to flex this one out.
Jane Daniels
No,
playing.
nope. He's not cleared for contact, so he's not playing. Um, you know, just Broncos. I'm going to take them minus 6.5. I think that defense it's great. Bo Nix won't have to do too much, and we're going to watch another boring primetime game. Broncos probably win like 27 to
Well, we saw
10.
Sam Darnold literally carve the secondary to pieces.
Yeah,
Do you think this could be the well? Let's have a narrative. Let's have a narrative
he's just
discussion.
going to play well.
Let's
Sure.
just have a narrative discussion. Is this going to be like the game he had last year? I forget who they played, where he just carved them. Was it the Commanders last year? They carved up when the Mariota played.
I'm not sure. I don't remember
Give
what
me a
game you're talking
keep
about.
talking. I'm going to look that up. Bo Nix 2024.
I don't remember him having a game that good.
I want to make your jaw drop.
Are you thinking of you're thinking of the Falcons game, I
Ah,
think.
the Falcon game. Didn't they play the Commanders though?
No.
Okay.
The Falcon game you're thinking of where he threw 4 touchdowns, 300 yards, completing almost 85% of his passes, um,
I
and
think
won
that happens
38 to
today.
6.
I'm taking the Broncos. I think that's going to
Yeah.
happen. I think you're going to have people talk about Bo Nix is good enough to win the Super Bowl because look at this Bronco defense. They're literally just beating up on a hapless
Yeah.
Commanders team.
And then Monday night, to wrap up here, we have the Patriots Giants, nice little Super Bowl rematch, whatever. Um,
No Brian
the
Burns.
Giants are no Brian Burns. Giants are 7.5 point underdogs at home to New England. Um, the Patriots barely, barely, um, excuse me, beat the Bengals. That was an ugly win. They barely covered against the Jets. They've been winning a lot of close games as of late. Beating the Falcons by a point, beating the Bucks by 5. You know, even though that was a little garbage timey. Beating the Jets by a couple scores, but that was closer than the score a little bit. And then really, they were definitely at an opportunity to lose to the Bengals. Oh, this game's in New England.
See, here's the thing with this game. So not only do the Giants have they fired Dable, obviously. Kafka has taken over as the play caller, right? On offense. The Giants
They
will now have a new play caller on defense because they fired Shane Bowen.
Right.
Dude, why is this line only 7.5?
Because they just lit up the Lions, I think.
Yeah, the Lions are also like in trouble.
Yeah, but I mean, I don't think Vegas is fully buying into the Patriots, and nor should they. Like, I think they have a pretty accurate view on New England, where they're good. They're 10-2. They had the best record in the league. Um, this is their last game before their bye week. They're just not ready yet. Whether they're injured, they've lacked the top high end talent to
We
win a
really
Super Bowl
haven't had
anyways.
on prime time yet, like I don't know. I compare it to Drake May having like the breakout game, like when Carson and the Eagles played the Commanders
Yeah, they're just not that good
in
though. Like they're just not.
2017,
The
where
team
you're
isn't
like,
good anymore.
wow, look at that, you know?
He's not good enough. And like again, he did a little bit. That Bills game. I know it was earlier in the year, but he went into Buffalo and beat Josh Allen, the Bills and stuff. Like he hasn't had it yet. But I just don't think the team is really good enough. You look at like the teams that they blow out. Like the Giants are probably better than the Panthers in a vacuum. You know what I mean? Like they blew out Carolina there. I
I'll say
Them having their
this,
bye week
finally.
next week is huge. There's nothing to look ahead to. You're not, they play the Bills coming out of the bye, but that's 2 weeks from now. You just kind of get through it. I was going to take the Giants plus 7.5, but I think yeah, I'm going to stick with it very reluctantly, but I will stick with it and say the Patriots win like 27-20.
I'm going with the Patriots to cover. This is my explanation. There's so much instability with the Giants right now. And the big thing with the Patriots with Matt Vrabel, like, what would you say Matt Vrabel does very well? What does he really bring to a team? Stability.
Mike Vrabel?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, he's
Like, these teams are
great coach.
literally polar opposites of one another.
Mhm.
Like you got Stephon Diggs playing discipline. Like, Stephon Diggs is the best he's looked in a while, I think, despite him getting older.
No, Diggs is having a great season, that's for sure.
I just saw the tweet you sent me. It's so obvious the Chargers are going to cut Beck and he's going to go back to the Eagles.
Chargers fans
It,
are funny.
I have to agree because I feel like as soon as we acknowledge Steen playing well, he's just kind of fallen off a cliff.
Yeah, yeah.
You know.
Regardless, I'm
Regardless,
not talking about
anyway.
I'm talking about
Well,
the
I
shitty
think,
Eagles.
but I think with the Patriots though, I know what you're thinking is that they're due to like lose because it like sort of like what the Ravens. I don't think it's this week. I know. I feel like because listen, when we pick these games, we got to find some upsets, right? Because it happens every week in the NFL. I think it would be the upset of the season if this Giants team beats the Patriots. Personally,
Not the Never mind.
what? Not the Bears over the Eagles? What were we gonna say? Go on, just say it.
That was 7 points. That was a 7-point spread, and we got fucking railed.
Yeah, but that was the freaking Bears are 8-3. Like people were saying,
7-point
"Oh, the Bears
spread.
are bad." Like
7-point spread. Regardless. Alright.
Panthers
We go
beating
to
the
New
Rams, that
England.
would be the up. I mean, is that the upset of the season?
Yeah, sure, I guess, if they pull that off. I mean, yeah, yeah. But you have the Patriots there, I have the Giants. That is it for the picks, and that is it for our show here. Hoping that next time, not next time we do the show because it won't be, but I don't know. I'm just hoping that in like 2 weeks or whatever.
You're hoping the Eagles can Patullo.
I
So
just hope they
so when
look.
we do the show like on Tuesday or Wednesday, that now that's our
There's
huge
something.
talking point.
There's something to be like, I guess, interested by because the offense is very uninteresting at this point. It's annoying. It's not fun to talk about. It's not fun to think about. And we're just gonna hope that they magically get better because that's what the coaches are hoping happens. So, anyways, that is our show. Thank you all for tuning in and enjoy the rest of this holiday weekend and stay inside because it is very cold outside and watch some good football.
I agree. Take care, everybody.
We are part of the Fired Up Sports Network of shows. Please check out other Fired Up Sports Network podcasts like the P-Lot Pod, Water Cooler Talk, Bell Smashers, Philly Sports Love and Pain, Drunk on Broad, Beer Battered Sports, and the Fired Up Sports Show, which are available on all major podcasting hosting sites and social media. Also, check out Mark Ramos' Roundup on Fired Up Sports. which breaks down the happenings going on with all your favorite local teams.